Hey everyone, this is Rabio's Vlog, and welcome to my general discussion series. Today's general discussion is going to be on how do you feel about older shows being revived for new episodes. My personal opinion on this is like this. Like, if if an older show came out from another decade or something like that, like say, for example, you had an older show that came out in the 1990s, it was canceled around the 90s or the early 2000s, and then you revived it like back in the late 2000s. I think there could be a problem with that, especially if the rules for what is allowed in the television programming had changed since then. Like for example, if we were to revive Rocko's Modern Life, which came on Nickelodeon 1993, and you were to revive it nowadays, I think what's going to happen is that they're going to start taking out all of the adult humor that made Rocko's Modern Life so special in the first place. Because while television has changed so much about what you can allow in a children's television programming nowadays than what you could years ago in the 90s. Like back then in the 90s, a lot of children's television had some adult humor that was good for the adults. But nowadays, well, I mean, I wouldn't say that all children's shows nowadays don't have adult humor. Some of them do. But I noticed that the rules changed a lot more, and they're a lot more stricter with what's allowed in children's shows than they were back in the 90s. Like I said, with the 90s, you could slip in a few adult jokes here and there, and you'll be able to get away with it. But nowadays, it's like it'd be a lot harder to get away with some of that humor. So with Rocko's Modern Life, if they were revived nowadays, then what's going to happen is that I have a feeling they're going to take out all the adult humor that made Rocko's Modern Life so special in the first place, and you wouldn't have a lot of adult humor in that show because they'd be a lot more stricter about it than they were back in the 90s. So that's probably one of the main problems with reviving an old series. It all depends on what era they came out of, and it depends if the rules for television had changed since then. So if that were the case, I would rather them just remake the show than just go ahead and revive the older series, because again, things society would have changed so much by then. And what happens if the TV series ended up getting a brand new creative team who have a different vision of these characters? You know, it would be probably better to make a remake of the show with a new creative team than bring back the old series and treat it like, well, it's like we're watching two separate shows instead of watching the same show that we watched when it first began. Like, for example, with SpongeBob SquarePants, you know, they originally was supposed to end with the first movie, but then they got revived after the movie, and a lot of people complain that, you know, the newer episodes is like not like the earlier seasons of SpongeBob SquarePants at all. So it's like we're watching two different shows of SpongeBob SquarePants. You know, you have the pre-movie seasons that came out, and then you have the post-movie seasons that came out, which a lot of fans are kind of like you know, have mixed feelings about the post movie seasons. So it's like we're watching two different shows instead of watching the same show we watched when we first were introduced to the series. So again, I think a remake would be better if you have a totally different creative team, or the show ends up getting revived in a brand new in a brand new era or age. So it'd be best to remake it and just give what that generation's version of the characters would be. Just like if you have like if the new generation thinks that, you know, something different has got to happen with the original show, then, you know, I would rather remake it and then have the new creative team do it and put their own spin on the original show. So what do you think about TV shows being about older TV shows being revived? Do you think it's a good idea, or do you think it's a bad idea? Please feel free to comment below, and don't forget to follow me on Twitter so I can keep you updated any new videos I post up. And if there's any general discussions that you want me to talk about, please feel free to comment below and I'll see what I can do about it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is Ravity's Vlog, and I'll see you later.